My name is Kathy Bazan. I have been actually writing social media content for clients since 2009 and helped to build a Facebook page for a corporation from 0 to over 9,500 likes in 2.5 years. I never bought an ad. I never bought a like. So I did that all by using vibrant SEO-rich content. What I'm going to be working with today is actually the technical background to Facebook to make sure that you're using all of its features and benefits. I will be covering content to a certain extent, but please make sure that you go back and look at that first class that I taught on how to write content. And of course, I'm happy to answer questions at the end of this as well. All right, now, I've been counseling small business owners since 2014. One of the questions I get all the time, okay, got a website, I've got a blog. I don't think I can write for more than one social media channel at a time. Which social media channel should I be on? My answer for 90% of my clients is Facebook. Why? Facebook is huge. According to some reports, there are as many as 2.67 billion monthly users. This is the largest social media channel out there. In fact, it's so large that it's so densely populated that, as a parallel to the name of the nation of Pakistan, Facebook is called Facebookistan because it's so large and it's so crowded. What I like about Facebook is that you've got a range of people, a range of ages. And so you're reaching out to a very large pool of folks who potentially can become your clients. For the 10% of my clients that I don't recommend Facebook for, it's usually because I'm recommending LinkedIn or something of that nature. All right, I work, as Emma does, for the Business Recovery Center here in Washington County. Here in Oregon, our BRC is funded by the CARES Act. We do provide free confidential one-on-one business counseling to business owners and the CEOs of nonprofits. So we're here to help you. She's on one end of the county, I'm on the other. We've also got 2 other centers that are in Hillsborough and Forest Grove. So please feel free to talk to any one of us. I mentioned my experience with CPA Excel. Also with CPA Excel, which is a company that helps accountants pass the Certified Public Accounting exam, I worked on their blog, and in less than 9 months, I had enough content up there that we were bringing in over 100 organic hits a day because of the amount of content that was on there that was answering the questions of folks who wanted to know about the CPA exam. These are the skills that I actually teach in these classes because I want you to know what I learned and how that can help you build your business, attract folks who will donate to your charity. So Uncle Sam has a message for all of us. I want you. Facebook is your way to recruit new clients and entertain or engage your current clients. This is a question that comes up all the time, and there have been numerous studies done. Most of the studies actually give East Coast times, so obviously I translated that for the West Coast. People check their Facebook profile, which is their personal page, or their business page when they wake up in the morning. So that's about 8 a.m. Pacific time. They check it at noon when they're on their lunch breaks, and they check it at 5 p.m. after work. So these are the general 3 peak times of the day. What I want you to do as you're building your Facebook page, once you get to 35 likes, Facebook will turn on Facebook Insights. And that will actually tell you when people are engaging with your page. If you know that these are the 3 peak times and your insights give you more specifics, you can then start posting content, at a particular time of day right when your people are coming onto Facebook and they're looking for something new to read or entertain them. So that's why you want to know, when are people engaging with your page. The other thing that you can do, and this is just a slight modification of this, most of us are familiar with Pavlov's dogs. Well, Pavlov trained his dogs to react a certain way when they heard a noise. It was a bell, and it meant they were going to get fed. As a social media writer, you can actually get your customers accustomed to you posting content at a certain time of day, and they will actually demand it. For CPA Excel, every Friday afternoon, I posted a humorous accounting musical video. Yes, there's more than one. I posted that routinely at 3 o'clock on Fridays. One Friday, because of something that was going on in the office, I hadn't posted that by 3:30. And I started getting messages on my Facebook page. Where's my video? So just remember, you can train people to come and get their content at a particular time. As with any aspect of business, you need a plan for Facebook. So that plan can include when you're going to post, what types of content you're going to use, how you might vary that content between videos versus an actual article where you've got 300 words. So you need to know what the best practices are on Facebook and what the best results are, so that you can measure your success against those standards and know if you're succeeding or not. You also want to realize that advertising might be optional for you. If you're doing something very unusual, underwater basket weaving, you may be the only underwater basket weaver in the entire United States, and therefore you don't have to advertise. You're going to come up in a Google search. You also might be putting up enough content, just like I did. I wrote 2 Facebook notes a day. You might be putting up enough content that you don't need ads, because your content is being picked up and indexed by Google so other people can find it. For this reason, I don't want you to assume that because you're on Facebook, you need to buy an ad. No, you do not. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll get to that. There are 2 radically different theories for how, as a business, you should engage on Facebook. I'm going to be honest. I used the first one. I wanted to get our company onto page 1 of Google. And in order to do that, I needed to post content on my website, CPA Excel, as well as on at least one channel of social media on a regular basis. And at the time that I was doing it, Google actually had tighter restrictions. So they wanted me posting at least 3 pairs a week, and a pair would be 1 blog post, 1 Facebook note. So I was doing 10 pairs a week. I'm a bit of an overachiever. What Google is looking for is for you to write content that has 300 words or more, and that would be a blog post, and then 300 words or more in your Facebook post. Google does not require images or photos, but your readers do. Normally, you will find at least a 50% higher open rate if you add a picture to each of your Facebook posts. There are some studies that show that that number is 200%. So somewhere between there lies the truth. I'll put it that way. When you're writing your content, you do want to have 2 to 3 short tail keywords. Those are nouns or noun clusters, or 1 long tail keyword. I'll just explain briefly what this is, but I do want you to go back and look at the first presentation, 101. Short tail keyword is a noun or a noun cluster. So you can look for CPA exam, pass the CPA exam. A long tail keyword is an entire question. How can I pass the CPA exam? When can I sit for the CPA exam? How often does a Maltese dog need to be groomed to keep its fur from matting? It's answering a complete question. That can actually be the title of your blog post or your Facebook post. Within a 7-day period, Google wants you to post content on your blog as well as on Facebook. Okay, the other theory is that If you're a lifestyle influencer, if you're a fashion designer, a restaurant, a lifestyle coach, you may want to take this other approach, which is to be hyperactive on Facebook and ignore the rest of the world. In other words, not be putting up content on your blog. The content that you would be posting on Facebook in this regard would be 100 to 300 characters, or only about 3 lines of text. Google is not going to pick this up. Google is not going to index it. But for people with short attention spans who simply want a little burst of information, this is the perfect way to do it. Fashionistas, foodies, folks like this love to get this kind of very quick bits of information. Sound bites almost. Keywords are optional because of the fact that your content is not being indexed by Google. So you don't have to be as concerned about trying to weave those words into your content. You do want to add an image. You do want to have a call to action. Call to action is simply asking the person who's reading your content to do something, to like, comment, share, to buy from you, to be an evangelist for you to their friends. And in this case, on this pattern, you want to post 3 times a day at 3 very specific times a day. How can Facebook get you onto Google's page 1? I mentioned this just briefly. Google wants to make sure that you are not a specialist in one particular area of posting content. They don't want you to post all your content on your website or all your content in social media. They want to see that you're in 2 different worlds. You're on site on your website and you're off site in social media. So in order to do that, you post new content on your website, you post new content in social media. The reason that I suggest Facebook is that it's usually easier to grow a Facebook page than it is to grow any other social media channel, simply because there are so many people on Facebook. It's easier to get them to come towards you and like your page because there's so many of them. You may have been wondering, why is it important for you to be on page 1? Well, Neil Patel, who is a social media expert, has found that 75% of people will never scroll past the first page of a Google search. So if you want to sell to people, if you want to encourage people to come to your historical society and donate to you, you want to be on that first page of Google. Great. You've decided to be on Facebook. Now what do? First thing you need to do is create a very secure password, which is different from any of your other passwords. I suggest keeping either a little book beside your computer in which you handwrite your password, or you keep an Excel spreadsheet on your computer that has all of your passwords in it. The reason that you want a very secure password on Facebook is that Facebook has now, unfortunately, because of world events and things that are going on out there, it has become a target for the malcontents in the universe to try and hack into. Get your personal information and use Facebook as a conduit to find more about you, potentially steal your identity, etc., etc. You need a very secure password. According to Review 42, 2.5 billion accounts were hacked in 2018. That's 158 accounts every second around the world. So here's how to create a password. You want to select something that is 15 characters or longer. So you can use uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. A symbol are those items that occur on your keyboard above the numbers. So it could be an exclamation point, an asterisk, an ampersand. It could be any one of those in any combination. I thought this was interesting. In 2012, a hacker built a program that could crack any 8-character Windows password in 6 hours. It was working very, very quickly and trying 350 billion guesses per second. So just in case you're wondering, my Windows password is very, very long, just to prevent that from happening. What you don't want to do when you're creating a password is make it easy for somebody to figure it out. So you don't want to use common substitutions like the number 8 for the letter B. People will figure that out way too quickly. You can, and this is kind of a tricky one, and I love it, you can misspell a word that you happen to love. So if you happen to like sailing, put a Y in there instead of an I, and then add some numbers and some characters on either side of it. You do not want to do anything that's sequential. So please don't create a password that has ABC123 in it. I thought you might get a kick out of this. These are considered to be the world's dumbest passwords. You can see the overachiever down there on line 3 who listed all of the numbers from 1 to 9. The two above it went 1 to 6 and 1 to 8. So our overachiever went 1 to 9. We also have people who use password 1 and just password. QWERTY is the first row of letters on your left hand if you're typing. And QWERTY is the type of keyboard that has those letters on it. Most of us use a QWERTY keyboard. There is an alternative one in case you're ever interested. But these are the dumbest passwords. Please do not use them. So how do we get this started? First, according to Facebook, you need a personal profile. You may not think you need a personal profile, but Facebook thinks you do. So on this personal profile, you can set the security settings at the highest level, which means that your content can only be seen by your friends. It means the page is not available for anybody in the universe to come look at. You can share information on your personal profile about your kids, your cat, your cockatoo, what you're doing, anything like that. Your cover photo and your thumbnail refer to you, not to your business. Thumbnail is that little round picture there. The cover photo, of course, is that large one in the background. That was taken at Oak Creek in Sedona, Arizona. Now, to increase your security, which I strongly recommend, when you're on your Facebook page, go up to the security and login settings. What you want to do is select that two-factor authentication and click edit. There are actually 2 different ways that you can get this super secure authentication. One is that a third-party authentication app can be engaged, or the one I prefer personally is that I signed up for text messages. So when I log into Facebook, Facebook sends me a code. It's numerical. I put that in that happy little box, and then Facebook knows it's me logging in. It isn't a malcontent from somewhere halfway around the globe. We are now ready to create your Facebook page. Your Facebook business page is there to help people learn about your business or your charity, your nonprofit. What is it you do? What do you create? What people do you help? What history of Oregon do you preserve? Is it the town of Tualatin? Is it Lake Oswego? How can you be contacted? Where are you located? So these are the basic questions that you're going to run into. If you're a dog groomer, are you mobile? Can you come to somebody's house and groom their pet? Or do the pet guardians need to bring their pets to you? On my home page, I'm going to click Create. From the drop-down menu, I'm going to select Page. And that means that I'm creating something for a business entity, not for me personally. You want to select business or brand, and there are a couple of other categories in there too. So look around if something makes better sense to you. It's on the left side. You're going to answer some questions, and then they're going to ask you to upload a cover image. Now, this goes on the top of your page and covers basically from the right margin to about 3/4 of the way across the page. If this is a photograph that you have taken, great. If you don't have a photograph that represents your business, you can go to a website like pexels.com. It's pixels, but with an E, where they have images that you can use. There are images on the site that you are allowed to use for your business, and you are not infringing on anyone's copyright. So if you need to get a picture from Pexels, if it doesn't represent your business, make sure it's just a happy, wonderful, lovely picture until you can get a picture of your products or service. In this case, I actually did pick a picture from Pixels just because it was quicker and it was faster. I'm a business coach. So what I wanted to do was to show people talking. Obviously, I'm going to replace this when I get the picture I actually want. I'm going to say something and you can take it for what it's worth. I'm actually going to take my photograph down. I'm going to put the company logo up once I get that finished. The reason is that there's a perception out there that if you're under 40, you can write social media just as easily as breathing. But if you're over 40, you cannot. I have found in my experience that the opposite of that is actually true, that people over 40 have much better basic writing skills, and therefore being able to take on social media and meet Google's requirements that you write at an 8th grade level or above is actually easier for some of us who've got a little more experience. I actually edited college textbooks for 10 years at one point in my career. So I've got that ability to write at the minimum Google threshold and above quite a bit. You do not have to put your own photo there if you don't want to. You can put a branding image, your company logo, whatever you want. Under your thumbnail on the left-hand side, I want you to scroll down and click on services. Again, this is a place where you can actually write a small essay about yourself. My suggestion is you actually don't write on the page, but that you open a Word document or anything similar. And that's where you type your content. Then you can spell check it. You can reread it. You can actually, on some computer programs, have it read aloud to you. So you can see if it actually flows the way you want it to. Well, once I'm happy with the content that I've written in Word, that content can include what kind of business I'm running, my price per hour or price per product, describe what I do, describe how long a typical appointment is. I can add a logo. So I can put all that content into a Word document. When I'm happy, copy, paste into happy little block over there. Go back to the home page. Go to that column that's under your thumbnail, and you want to go all the way down until you see the button that says click or see more, A list of buttons that you can add to your particular Facebook page will show up, and you can pick the buttons you want to add. Skip down to posts. I will cover this a little bit in a minute. It used to be in Facebook speak, a post was a very short bit of information that you put on Facebook, whereas a note was something that was anywhere between 100 and 500 words. Facebook actually disabled notes as of October 31st, and I will be getting to this in a minute. So the only thing we can write now is a post. So if I inadvertently tell you to go write a Facebook note, what I'm talking about is I do want you to write a Facebook post. These posts do expand, so you can write 300 words or more. The person would see the first couple of lines, be able to click on the read more and read your entire article. So hover over the write a post and copy your content here. And hopefully before you've started your Facebook page, you may have written 2 or 3 different Facebook posts that you want to go up immediately to start getting people to come. You do want to click on, as you see here on the left, video or photo, and that's where you can upload a photo from Pexels if you want to. You can also use your own photographs as well. When you're happy with it, and we're going to get to this in a minute, then you're going to click post. Again, if you're putting up a post and you've got a picture with it, there's a much higher likelihood it's going to get open and read. As you notice here, I took a picture that I added to this. I could have added more than one if I wanted to, but I only added one. The article that I posted here is actually how artists can make money from their art by licensing it. So that's why I picked this picture of this little kid with finger paint all over his fingers. It was just a darling illustration and had a lot of color to it on why art is so vibrant. And so that's why I picked that picture. I'm gonna go on a sidetrack here for a quick minute. A lot of people, when they're writing social media or they're writing for their website, will go to Google Images, harvest an image, and use it. If you do that, make sure that the last line below your content is image courtesy of, and wherever you got that. Where you got it is not Google Images. But when you look at the image itself in the Google Images page, you will actually see below it the website where Google harvested it. So what you want to do is cite that. So for instance, if I have picked an image off of Google Images of Lucy from the Peanuts cartoon in her psychiatrist booth, you know, psychiatric help, 5 cents. If I have used that, then I'm going to look right below the image and it'll say syndicated King features, I think. So when I'm posting that, when I'm using that, my final line on my Facebook note is going to be image courtesy of King syndicated features. So that I'm declaring this image belongs to them. I am not trying to steal it. I'm giving credit to them. This is, it partially protects you from copyright infringement. If Night Syndicated Features wanted to come after me, they probably could, and I would need to take the image down. But if I'm not that large of a Facebook page, if I haven't gone over 10,000 likes, King Features is probably not going to come after me. But having that image courtesy of statement mollifies them. All right. When I'm happy with the look of the post, with the look of the picture, of the spacing between the paragraphs, whatever it is I'm looking for, I'm going to go down to that bottom right button and click post. Right at that moment, my content is live. Now, the good news is I can still edit it. So I may look at it again once it's live. The paragraphs may actually smush together. Sometimes Facebook does that. And so I can hit the edit button, go back in, separate the paragraphs, put a little more space in there, and correct the problem. In your left column again, you're going to see that button that says posts. When you're looking at your posts in the middle of your page, which is where they show up, you're going to see your most recent post first and any other content you posted before that below it. It looks like this on your page. And now, how do you grow your page? Well, if you've got a personal profile, you probably have a bunch of friends on it. You can actually do a little feature called Invite Your Friends, which means Facebook sends a note out to all of these lovely folks and says, hey, this wonderful individual now has a business page over here. They would like you to like their page. And you can suddenly get a whole lot of likes that way. Let's go back to adding more content to your Facebook page. This is in the background of the page. This is not what you see when you first come to the page. This information will show up if somebody's doing a deep dive and trying to figure out who you are, what you do, more about you. So I'm going to go to the top of the page and click Edit Page Info. This gives me the opportunity to use my keywords to attract more people to finding my page. Now remember, keywords are like bait. When you're going to go fishing and a beautiful lake, say for trout, you're going to use a very different bait, whether it's a live bait or a lure, than if you were going deep sea fishing looking for sailfish, because a sailfish is not going to bother with something you would try to feed to a trout. So your keywords attract different types of people. If I'm trying to attract accountants, I'm going to be using words like pass the CPA exam. But if I'm trying to attract people who are interested in Hawaiian dance, possibly learning the hula, I'm going to be talking about the culture of Hawaii, famous Hawaiian dancers, famous actual dances, like the movements to Bali High from South Pacific, or the movements to Aloha Oi, as a for instance. So I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to be using these words that I know my potential clients have already looked for. And I want them coming to me to get the latest content on anything from the historical homes of Tualatin to the best and safest online payment systems. So that's why you want your keywords in there. Now, you may be wondering, how do you find your keywords? There are a lot of different ways to do this. If you go back to class 1, I go through several different methods, but I'm just going to give you one right here. Because I had used Keyword Surfer and had actually gone to their website on my laptop, Keyword Surfer then decided that they needed to be my best friend in the whole world. So they show up every single time I do a term search. This is actually a screen capture of my page. I went to Google, I put in business coaching, and immediately Keyword Surfer popped up on the right with a number of different keywords that people are already looking for in connection to business coaching. Here are some of those happy little words. So immediately I've got a list of keywords. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to copy them and I'm going to drop them into an Excel spreadsheet so I don't have to go looking for them. I will also check off the ones that I've used in my content simply because over time then I can track which ones have I used, which ones do I still need to use. In my case, since I'm the one writing the content, I decided to select business coaching certification, small business coaching, female business coach, and business coach near me. And those are the words that I'm going to weave into my content for these sections where I can enter information on my Facebook page. Each time you come to one of these little boxes on Facebook, it will say how many characters you're allowed. So when I'm writing in Word, I know what my space is that I can work with. If I've got up to 10,000 characters, I might actually select up to 16 short-tailed keywords. Those are nouns or noun clusters, and weave those into this section. I may select less than that. I don't want to select too many words, throw them in there, and have sentences that don't make any sense to a logical human being. So the paragraphs that I write need to be communicative of what I do, how I do it, and include those keywords without sounding like an idiot. When the internet first started, there was a term that was used a lot. It was called keyword stuffing. What it meant was you could use the same keyword over and over and over to the point where your reader just would throw up their hands in terror. And then Google decided that keyword stuffing was bad, so it's no longer allowed. I'll give you an example of keyword stuffing, just so you can see how annoying it was and why you do not want to do keyword stuffing. Here at Dog World, we have tall dogs, we have short dogs, we have red dogs, yellow dogs, black dogs, white dogs, brown dogs. We have curly-haired dogs, we have flat-coated dogs. You see how boring that was? When you're writing something for Facebook, use different keywords that describe what you do and how you do it. As you can see in this paragraph, I've actually put in red, so they're easier to pick up my keywords. When I transfer this to Facebook, there will be no red text. So I've used keywords such as the definition of a business coach. A business coach is actually a different keyword than definition of a business coach. Business coach for female entrepreneurs, the coaching process, my business coaching services, or my business coaching job description, the role of a coach in business, and business coach blog. So those are all different keywords that I know that people have searched for because Keyword Server found them. And what I'm doing is I'm putting that bait out there in the water and trying to get those people who have searched for a business coach for female entrepreneurs to find me instead of somebody else. When I'm happy with the content, copy and paste, load it into the happy little box, click Save Changes, and there you go. Now, can you edit these at any time? Yes, absolutely not a problem. This is not written in stone, so don't worry about it. Now, scroll on down and find some other sections. You've got an About Us section. This allows you to give your business address, by whom your company is owned, the company structure. So for instance, if you're an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, a nonprofit, you definitely want to mention that. That means you have a legal structure and that you have separated your personal assets from your business assets by having an entity. So you can put more content in here with more keywords. That means you're not relying entirely on your content for being the only place where those keywords are found. This allows you to attract more people to the site, both through your content and your information. This was sad. I used to love Facebook Notes, but as of October 31st, Facebook eliminated notes. So you used to have the possibility of posting a post, which was small, or a note, which was larger. Now you can post a post and it can be short, it can be long, it can be anything you want. But just remember, unless it's got 300 words or more, Google is probably not going to find it. Google is not going to make it searchable by other people in the universe. Well, okay, Earth, so that these other people on Earth can find your content and come to your Facebook page. So that is the danger of being less than 300 words. All right. Again, we've got more sections here on this edit page info. Look at your character count. When you're writing in Word or any of its competitors, if you look at the review button, there's usually a word count or a character, and the character count comes with spaces or without spaces. So there's a higher number, I'll put it that way, when you count characters and spaces. Again, write your content, copy and paste. When you're happy, hit save changes. So what content do you want to post on your Facebook page? Well, again, I'm going to harp on this until you have this memorized and can repeat it back to me. You need at least 300 words. Google was organized by librarians. God bless them. Librarians are always looking for new content. And the way Google does this is Google sends out bots, spiders, web crawlers, 24/7, all over the net, looking for content that has that 300 words and has the keywords. If those report back to the mothership in Menlo Park, California, then Google will index that content and make it searchable. So if I have written for a florist how to save money on my wedding flowers, and I've got 300 words, that article will show up whenever somebody looks for content on how to save money on their wedding flowers. If my content is shorter than that, it may not be found and customers might not find me. So I just need to abide by Google's rules. I use 2 short-tailed keywords or 2 to 3 short-tailed keywords or 1 long-tailed keyword, use an image, and write in a 4:1 ratio. What I mean by this is that I want you to write 4 articles, 300 words each or more, that tell your client about something. So let's say I'm running a tennis shop. I might write about what are the features that a left-handed player needs in a tennis racket, because the grip is actually different from somebody who buys a right-handed tennis racket. Who are some famous left-handed tennis players? I think Rod Laver from Australia was a lefty, if I remember correctly. What are some techniques for hitting a backhand stroke if I'm a left-handed player? What do I need to know about playing on different surfaces, clay versus grass, if I'm a left-handed player? Well, one surface will actually slow the ball down, the other one will speed it up. So, and then the 5th article in that series is, by the way, I've got a tennis shop and I've got the best racket for left-handed players. So you want to be educating your audience. And then in that 5th article, your call to action is, come get your left-handed tennis racket over here. If I'm teaching Hawaiian dance or Polynesian dance, I might write about famous dancers of the past, hula dancing competitions, how hula made it to Broadway in South Pacific, where hula comes into popular culture. And then the 5th article would be, by the way, I'm the best place where you can learn how to do the hula dance. Come on down, let's sign you up for lessons or take a Zoom class with me. So information educates and entertains your readers. MEFORMATION is, I'm the best place to get whatever it is we're talking about. So if I'm writing about payment processing systems, I might be educating people in those first 4 articles about what you need to know about touchless payment systems, what you need to know about online processing, what you need to know about building security or selecting the right security for your system. You might also want to write about how to weave a payment processing system into your website flawlessly. And then the fifth one, of course, is I'm a payment processing guru. I can help you get your website up and going. When you're writing your content, either for your blog or Facebook, I would love to have you do it in Word or any competing program. Doesn't matter. But here's what I'm pointing out. When you pick an image from Pixels or you pick your own image, I want you to use the URL if you're using Pixels and put that URL into your Word document directly under the picture. I'll explain why in just a couple of minutes, but this is information you need to hang on to in your document files. As we know, an article, whether it's on your blog, Facebook, or an Instagram story, is open much more than an article that doesn't have an image. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping a record of which images you've used and where you got them. Here's the reason why. During the pandemic, a cottage industry arose of lawyers who were sitting at home and apparently were bored to tears. They started looking at websites, at Facebook pages, Instagram, etc., and tracking back where these images came from. If the image was taken from a particular website, let's go back to King Features Syndicated, the lawyers would actually send out a copyright infringement letter to the person who posted that picture and didn't say image courtesy of. Now you see why I'm doing it. These letters would demand $700 to $800 per image. Most business owners who don't have the funds to go hire a lawyer and fight this would simply write out a check, pay the money, and change the picture. If you have in your Word files or your documents, if you have the picture and the URL, you can fight this kind of a letter by saying, I got that image from pixels.com. It is copyright free. I am allowed to use it. Please go away. Or something more direct, whatever you want to say. But that's usually enough to make one of these lawyers go away, which is good. If you're using Shutterstock, iStock, any of these services where you're paying for the images, save your receipts. This will prove you did not infringe and you use the image with permission. Okay, option number 2, use your own photos. If you use your photos, that's wonderful. I'm tickled for you. Just make sure that before you post them, you drop them into some photo editing program like Photoshop. There's a whole slew of them out there. And you add a corner-to-corner watermark, or you add a watermark somewhere in the image that makes it unusable. If you put your watermark, which says, copyright 2020, name of your company, all rights reserved, if you put that at the bottom or at the very top edge, somebody can actually crop those out and then use your image. So that's why you want that corner to corner, or you might put it, say, smack in the middle of the ocean below the sun, as a for instance in this picture. This is fun. We can turn the tables on the lawyers very quickly. Every few months, check with tineye.com. It's a website that actually catalogs images that have been used on the internet. So you can put your image in and TinEye will search and see if anybody anywhere in the world has used your particular image. If they have, TinEye will actually tell you, and then you can send them the copyright infringement letter. Okay. You always want to check your work. How are you doing on Facebook? Who is interacting with your page? Who likes your page? After you reach 35 likes, then you get to see Facebook Insights, and you can actually track what time of day people are interacting with your page. This may actually adjust what you decide to do. Now, do you have to put content up 2 times a day? No, you can put it up once a day. You can put it up once a week. You can put it up once a month, but in the same week of the month. You're not going to get onto Google's page 1 because you're not putting up enough content, but at least Google knows you're live. What you want to be doing is making sure that folks have an opportunity to find your content at the time of day they're looking for it. Back up your content. As we all know, computers are goofy. What can I tell you? So for that reason, you do want to back up everything that you're writing either to an external hard drive, a thumb drive, to the cloud, or print out hard copies. That way you've always got your content, even if you need to move to a different computer later. Scams are increasing. As I mentioned with the pandemic, we've got more people sitting at home. And unfortunately, a lot of those are malcontents who are doing nothing but figuring out new ways to get money out of your pocket and into their pocket. So phishing scams and smishing scams, those are scams that are run through text messages, are increasing. Some of the ones that have been around for decades include, I need to get my money out of Nigeria. There's about to be a coup. Some of you have actually seen that. We are trying to deliver a package to your house. No, they're not. No service is going to contact you this way unless you have asked them to. So UPS, USPS, the US Post Office, they're not going to send you that text or they're not going to send you that email. It's about your vacation home. No, it's not. Facebook needs your password. No, they don't. Trust me. The solution? Every time you get one of these things, and they're increasing, I want you to look at the URL and ask yourself, who is contacting me? If it's from a .com, that's good news. It's not a guarantee that it's not a scam, but at least you can feel a little more comfortable. If, however, it is from anything other than a .com, it's probably a scam, simply because those extensions .biz, .co, .ca are much easier to get your hands on than is a .com, which may actually cost you more. So for that reason, scammers, realizing that people don't read all the way to the end of the URL, have opted for these cheaper URLs and are finding them just as effective as if they had said .com. Facebook, Google, any reputable company, your bank is never, ever going to email you and ask for your password. They are not going to call on the phone and ask for your password. They are not going to send you a text. If somebody does do that, they're a malcontent. Do not reply. I get this question all the time. The way Google makes it sound is that the only way you're going to attract people is if you buy ads. That is absolutely wrong. However, for one client in particular, I did suggest they buy a Facebook ad because it was a new product. I was working with a stable in Sedona, Arizona, and they could get women to go ride on horses and do wine tastings and have a lovely time out there on the trail. But they couldn't get guys. So in a marketing meeting with them, I said, well, what do guys like? They like beer tasting. I mean, there are men who like wine tasting. I'm not cutting them out. But because the Verde Valley had a number of microbreweries, we had the option of setting up a beer tasting. So we set up a beer tasting and trail ride. Then they asked me, okay, where should they put the ads? Sedona has 10,000 people in it. But most of those folks are retired, and many of those folks don't really want to get out on a horse. So we needed to figure out where were guys who wanted to ride horses and drink beer. We decided to boost the ads to particular suburbs of Phoenix that are more upscale. So we actually boosted the post to Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, and a couple of other areas where the average income is much higher. We also narrowed it down to men who are 25 to 45. And as you know, when you set up a Facebook profile, they ask you what you are interested in. So do you like history, horses, beer, wine, art, music, da-da-da-da. So when you go to boost a post, you can actually select beer as one of those factors. We managed to find a whole lot of men, which was lovely. Good news, they sold out the first trail ride, which was about 20 horses, if I remember correctly, and they had to add a second trail ride for men and beer tasting. Now, it was not billed as a men and beer tasting ride. It was a trail ride and beer tasting. And it's just that the preponderance of people who showed up were guys. Some of them brought along their beloveds. So, it was a mixed trail ride, but we wanted to get more guys out. Should you set a budget for your ads? Yes, it's very easy when you're on Facebook to try to click all the categories. When you do that, you increase the price that you're paying to Facebook. So what I normally suggest to people is that they set themselves a budget of $30 a month. They can use that on one boost. They can use it on 5 boosts. They can use it on 30 boosts. Whatever it is, they need to stick to that $30 because it's very easy to go over. If you want to do Google ads, stick to a budget of $60 a month or less. I have had entrepreneurs come back to me literally crying because they got their first bill and they had spent over $400 on Google ads and gotten nada. So if I am strained on my budget, I will only do Facebook ads and I will not do any Google ads. It's your choice. Practice, try things out. All right. Do you have any questions? I know I've thrown a lot of information at you today, and there will be a recording of this class, but you may have some questions for me now. If so, put them in the chat. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to meet with you individually by phone, by Zoom, or in person. I'm in Tualatin 3 days a week. So let me know what I can do to help you build your business. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you attending.